Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how to heal yourself naturally. And we've got a really interesting show today. We're going to be talking to an author, Melinda J. Kelly. Melinda J. Kelly is the author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. You can find out more about Melinda J. Kelly at her website, melindajkelly.com. Welcome, Melinda J. Kelly.
Well, thank you. I'm so very delighted to be here.
Now, your book is Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. Melinda J. Kelly, how did this book come about?
I had all the aspects of my life suddenly collide and forced me to question where I was going and what I was going to do. It was a triple treat of discovery, you could say. And I realized I could either just continue doing as I was, or I could actually be brave enough to try to think of a whole new way of life. And as I went down my discovery, I found a lot of the things that I was discussing with friends, they also were dealing with. And so this came about. This actually wasn't what I intended, but it was what wanted to be written. And we've all heard that said before, and I will tell you, I have rolled my eyes. But it's true. This wanted to be written. And I like to think of it as I stubbed my toe. I don't want anybody else to stub their toe. If my mistakes or my hiccups can help people have a more effortless way to their discovery, that would make me very happy.
You know, you said something that I really agree with, which is I believe I've published 8 books now so far, and I believe that a book is a spiritual entity. And as an author, we basically, we don't own the book. The book doesn't belong to us. It's something that we literally channel. It comes through at the soul level, and we just deliver the book like we're delivering the message, like, being the telegram messenger. Here's your message. So I agree with that. Now, one of the things your book talks about is self-knowledge, because when we're at the point like you were, where we have to make changes, and change is part of life. If you look at nature, nature is always changing. I look at my orchids and they're different from day to day. So what does it mean for us to know ourselves? What exactly is self-knowledge?
Something that struck me is as we are little children, we have questions all day long. And everything is this big, wide adventure, and we want to know about it. And as we get older, it's not about questions anymore. It's about answers. And our teachers want us to have the answer. And then we get a little older and we get into our professional life. And once again, questioning is sort of like, no, don't do that. You're supposed to just be able to perform. And so we stop asking questions. And questions actually are very powerful. They give us comfort. They give us control. They give us answers we haven't thought of. But we tend to just sort of take things at face value and go forward. And sometimes we need something to sort of shake us up, to get us to ask a question or two again. That's sort of what happened with me. And I've actually found, I think I love the questions even more than the answers.
Yeah, I love this saying. There's some saying, if your life is shaking, maybe it's God doing the shaking, right? Sometimes it's like, dear, we say a prayer, dear God, please save me. And yet you're being shaken up. And you said something interesting about questions, because as you said, at all ages, we can question our reality. What I find in my work as a medical intuitive is that as little children, our brains are literally programmed. And a lot of this programming is helpful and useful, like look both ways when you cross the street. That's probably a good idea. But then sometimes the beliefs that we hold about life in general, like it's hard, it's difficult to make money, is a big one, right? Or you're supposed to be a doctor or a nurse or a teacher or a lawyer or whatever it is that your parents told you to do. As we age and we come on these questions, part of what we're doing is unraveling the programming that we received as children, right? Or these kind of people are bad, right? Purple people are bad, and don't talk to them, and don't be friends with them, and by all means, don't have sex with them, right? So we have this inner programming. And as we ask questions and we go into self-inquiry, then we can begin to unravel some of this programming. So Melinda J. Kelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within, what do you think holds most people back from being happy and successful?
Well, I feel for too long, we've been sort of told to just move forward one foot in front of the other. And so we do that and we lose connection with our dreams. We stop dreaming. As children, we have daydreams. And in college, you stare at the clouds and see a million things. And then it's time to let go of that and get down to business. And yet dreams sustain and nurture us. But we're told, oh no, that's a pipe dream, or that's a fool's dream. And suddenly, everything about dreaming isn't constructive. It's a waste of time. And yet, anyone who's ever been in a play or performed music or sung in a choir, that's a dream. Because from the moment you get together, you're daring to believe that you're going to do something magical. And yet that's okay. But to dream something for myself, oh, well, no. I would say anytime you garden, a garden is the ultimate act in faith and hope. Because there's what you plan, there's what you think is going to happen, and there's what you're going to find out in a few months.
I love that analogy. Absolutely. And it's a surprise because it's alchemy, right? The sun, the soil, the water.
I have such respect that you can coax orchids. That is a talent. Few people realize just how delicate and involved it is.
It's about the right environment. It really shows you we're like people. You have to put yourself in the right environment. If you're around nasty, mean people, or you're not feeding your cells properly, and this is the essence of natural healing, is to provide the right environment in which we can thrive. The right external environment, the right job, the right home, the right feng shui, the right internal environment, which is your thoughts and your beliefs and how you eat and how you take care of yourself. So, and this dream that you're talking about, what I find in my medical intuitive readings is that everyone's got a soul longing. And your soul is really longing to do your purpose, right? And
I would agree.
And when we get away from our purpose, then we feel unease, dis-ease. We feel out of place. We're like, wait, there's something more meaningful that I need to connect to. And so many people think it's about earning money. Maybe your soul needs to paint that painting or get up and do stand-up comedy or, write poetry.
I so agree. For so long, we've seen success as someone else's definition instead of having the realization that success can be our definition. And what makes me happy may not make you happy, or you might like part of what I think is so fabulous. But there's so many different ways to be successful, and yet we've reduced it to such a one-dimensional idea. It's all or nothing. And yet every moment, every moment you're singing, the first time you sing it and it's terrible, well, you sang it together. And the next time you get together and practice, it sounded a little better. And then there's that moment that it's magic and everyone's hit the right note and you know, and that's a whole different success that you're going to be able to share it with the world. Every one of those is a different form of success. But if we only see that we won a Grammy, well, no, we've just made it, we've just made success unattainable when we've had it in our hands all along.
I remember my mentor in healing, she prayed for guidance one time and asked for the definition of success. And she received, you are a success as long as you're breathing, right? And that really takes the pressure off. But Melinda J. Kelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within, what do you feel is the true meaning of success? And how can each person find inside ourselves what our definition of success is?
I know for me, it's taken me a long time to really appreciate it in all the different dimensions. I can look at different aspects of my life and say, my heavens, I am so excited that I have long friendships that have sustained through decades. I have childhood friends. I have high school friends. I have grammar school friends. I feel that in and of itself is a huge accomplishment in a world where we lose touch with one another, to have that sort of continuum. I can look at what I've done professionally and say, that was a great success. And as I move into another life, know that I have things to be very proud of. I can look at volunteer work I've done. And one of my favorite things is that people I worked with years ago have said, oh, I loved working with you all these years later. And to know that we may have done something for the community, but we also collectively did something with each other. I often think that money is the least important form of success, yet we've made it the most important form of success. There are things you cannot buy, but are gifts that are given, and they come from the happiness and the wherewithal that's within you that you've created. That is infinitely more successful than any dollar or penny you can ever find.
Yeah, in my book, Unlimited Intuition Now, I talk about how even scientists say that only 4% of the known universe can be quantified or measured in any way. The other 96%, such as love, kindness, compassion, happiness, that's qualitative, and we have to experience that, right? And you know when it's there because you can feel it, and you also know when it's not there because you can feel that.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel, Melinda J. Kelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within, how can each of us find our definition of success?
Well, in this world of not enough time and doing too much, and I believe too often making ourselves the last priority, and guilty as charged, sometimes we need to just take the time and get still. And if it's a 10-minute walk around the block, if it's hiding for 10 minutes to just take that moment, if it's finding your favorite book and reading it, but taking that moment to reconnect with the things that make us happy. Our days are so full of what we need to do, we forget to do what we'd like to do or want to do. And happiness isn't this like in the movies where they show up with the flowers and the limo and the perfect dress. And some of the best times are when everything has gone to the wrong end of the road and you're trying to figure out, and you can sit there and look at one another and go, well, that is just a comedy of errors, and laugh at it. And there's something of that camaraderie that there's great happiness in. And sometimes just looking at the experience or the journey we've been on, you can see what a marvelous adventure you've had. And you just thought you were going to the store, but you found a dog at the side of the road and you found a home, you found the owner for them, or somebody needed assistance. Or I was traveling once and these two older people were carrying this big box, and we went to help them, older people, and help them carry it. And we ended up getting invited into a senior citizen's birthday party with music and dancing, and the most phenomenal experience in a country where I speak the language poorly. No one can ever take that away from me. And to that sort of, oh my heavens, this simple little thing that became this incredible adventure.
You know, if you ask me what I think and this is just me personally about the meaning of success, and for me, it's listening as carefully as I can to my divine direction and following the will of God as closely as I can in all areas of my life. So when I align my will with God's will, and when I allow the divine to work through me at all times in all areas of my life, that's what I feel is the true meaning of success. And now, Melinda Kelly, what do you
I was going to say, that's incredibly beautiful. I know I approach life that it's that simple phrase, but life is good. And the other is, I know that there are moments throughout my day. You just have to look up and say thank you, because there is so much beauty and magic abounding that just, and sometimes the way the sun comes shining through, you're present to a moment of greatness and taking that in.
Yes, and absolutely. And so again, what I find is that when we do this this listening deeply within, that we are we're able to again follow the will of God at all times in all places. Now, Melinda Kelly, what do you think it actually means to be happy?
I would say it's understanding what your needs are on all levels. We get so focused on the physical, and by that I mean that my house must be such, and my possessions must be this, and my health or my physicality must be that. And we lose sight of, we have this beautiful vehicle, this vessel, our body, and to be thankful for it, how it supports and nurtures us, that we have a home that we can invite people into. And it's not about if you can white glove the dust off my shelves. It's about that I have chairs for everyone to sit in and that people want to be there. That it's looking at that which we need, not that which we've been told we should have or think we should have. It's looking at that which takes care of our immediate needs and allows us to then give towards others.
Yes, very, very beautiful. And okay, so how can we increase the happiness level in our lives?
Well, I could say start smiling more, but as silly as that sounds, sometimes you move into your smile. It's, if you're walking on the street and somebody smiles at you, you can't help but smile back. And it stays with you longer than you realize. Too often we start in neutral and don't appreciate that it would be so easy to just elevate a moment and smile and say, good morning, it's great. And to start our day from that position.
Yes, absolutely. So smiling more is going to really help us. Mm-hmm. And how do we know when we're actually happy? What does it mean when we're actually happy?
I'm going to say, I can only say what's for me. And I think that is something that each of us has to look into. But we get those glimmers when we're surrounded by our family, when we're having a moment with company. Sometimes it can be just sitting outside and watching the breeze go over. It's understanding perhaps our communion with nature or having a better sense of the quiet within us and that surrounds us. In a world where everything is noise and too much, sometimes it's just taking a second to be there. For me, it can be hearing a favorite song that calls back a moment in time that was special. Happiness, there's incredible happiness, there's soft happiness, there's elation, but happiness isn't just one dimensional either. There's the happiness of comfort, there's the happiness of a hug, there's the happiness that goes with a smile, there's the happiness when someone says, I've missed you, where have you been? Every one of those is a different form. And we can be so happy that we're beaming out like a silly praised fool. And then there's the happiness that you know it's been an absolutely beautiful day and that you can go to sleep knowing that you've had a beautiful day, you've touched other people in a meaningful way, and you can go to sleep knowing that you've contributed to the world in little and big ways. You just don't know which yet.
Now, again, our show, the Natural Healing Show, is all about finding natural ways to do things. And all of us, if you're alive, you're going to go through really hard times in your life. And there are times when, like we feel overwhelmed, we feel depressed, we feel anxious. And I believe the statistics are about 12% of the population, at least in the United States, takes antidepressants. And again, we're all trying to find the solution, so we're not judging anyone. But what can we do, maybe in addition to taking antidepressants, or maybe instead of antidepressants, when we find ourselves at those times when we are overwhelmed and we're feeling a little bit down? What do you think?
First, anyone going through a trying time, I give you such credit because you're being candid and letting people know you need a little help. And, everybody has a moment, just not everyone talks about it. And so I thank you for the courage to say help. And I thank you for the courage to share. And I've gone through trying times. I believe everyone has. I have been incredibly blessed.
So you've been incredibly blessed yourself. Yeah.
I've been incredibly blessed. I'm sorry. I recently lost my sister.
Oh.
So it's still very raw. But I'm incredibly blessed with friends and family that have held me and supported me and called in on me and very gently let me know they're checking up on me in a way to give me my distance or my respect or whatever, but to make sure I'm okay. I know how incredibly lucky I am. And I wish everyone could have that. But not everyone does. And not everyone has that nurturing support around them. And I still wish everyone did. And the hard part is, it's hard. But the truth is, time comes along and the laughter comes back and everything else does. It's just hard sometimes to trust that. And sometimes as I say, I've gotten very good now at my eyes welling up and not having my mascara run everywhere. And I can laugh about it, but I wouldn't be this upset if the loss wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your personal loss is. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a job. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a relationship. It doesn't matter if you have a child that you want the world for and they just can't get there. It's hard. And I feel too often we just gloss over things instead of saying, I'm sorry, yeah, this isn't as going as easy as we thought it would. And there's that sense of pride that I feel hurts us. And pride shells us off. People just want to be there for you. One of the phrases I heard a long time ago, and I love and I live by this, is people admire you for your qualities, but they love you for your quirks. And I am very lovable because I am very quirky. But that we need to embrace the things that make us unique and different, and to trust that we can get through this. We have the strength. And if we're not feeling it's better, see your doctor. I say this is just like if you were getting pneumonia, you wouldn't think twice about going and getting medication. There's a part of our body that is out of alignment. And if we need medication, go. If you've got the lethargies and walking to the mailbox just about does you in, try to do it the next day as well. You talk about something to, get you out in addition to medicine. I love nature. I love my garden. I love talking to my plants. I think they like it. My fruit trees surprise me every year. There is so much for us to connect with when we sit there and take the time to look at it and to see how we can be sustained. You can look at nature and sit there. Yes, it's winter and everything's off the trees, but spring shows up again and summer will be around. And we need to trust that this crazy loop of life is going to loop around again.
Now, Melinda J. Kelly, you're the author of the book, Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. Mm-hmm. And what I find is really helpful, because this is about finding our inner resources during those times, like when you lose a very valuable loved one in your life, or when you go through so much trauma, you can't get over what happened yesterday because of what's happening today. So one of the things that I find that's a really valuable inner resource is to, in my mind, make a list of everything that I'm grateful for. And personally, this is something that I try and do every day, first thing in the morning and right before I go to bed. And because you're also talking about, I'll feel better, next season. Well, one way I find that you can start feeling better, like right now, is to really focus on noticing and feeling the blessings that you have right now. So I'll sit there and I'll just say, I feel grateful for my puppy. He's so fluffy and sweet. And I'm grateful my mother is still alive. And I'm grateful for my orchids, and and go on. And what I find is that when I get down in the dumps, initially I can rattle off the first few, and then somewhere after about 10, I get a little bit stuck. But if I can come up with at least 20 things that I feel grateful for, then I feel that feeling of literally feeling grateful for what's there now and what's right there now supporting me. And by the way, when you listen to your angels and you talk to your angels, you'll never feel lonely again. You may lose important people in your life, but your angels are always there. That feeling of gratitude helps to shift the vibration. Now, Melinda J. Kelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within, I'm going to be asking you about how you see a person. So, for example, when I do a medical intuitive reading, I read 5 levels. The physical body, you know what that is. The energy body, which includes your chakras, your acupuncture system, and your breath. Your emotional body, which is the largest part of you, all your feelings. Your mental body, which is your thoughts and your belief. And then your spiritual level, and which is who you really are, because you are a soul. So coming back to you, Melinda J. Kelly, how do you see a person?
When I'm introduced to somebody, my first thought is, oh, this is going to be lovely. And that's always my premise of where we go. Now, if it goes odd, well, that's called life. But for the most part, I find most people are generally quite nice to meet. So I'm not sure if you would say that I'm going to their energy, or I'm going to their best, or I'm talking to their angels. But there are very few people that you encounter that are really dismal. And even when they are dismal, I truly just sit there and say, oh, honey, I would like so much more for you. Because for anyone to be that grumpy, something has happened, and I'm so sorry it did.
So you're really seeing as their higher self, right? Their best self.
Well, I would sort of prefer to live like that. It may not be practical, but it's really a pretty nice way of life. And I was thinking, as you were saying, I once a month make a list of the things that I'm grateful for, of the things that I wish to forgive, and of the things that I wish to forgive myself for. I know that I have unrealistic expectations, and I probably am not the only one. And sometimes giving that forgiveness and kindness to ourselves can help us see more ways to be grateful and gratitude. And one of the best experience I ever had was I was involved in a gratitude mastermind.
Mm, mm.
And what was so powerful about that is we would talk about, there's the usual stuff, oh, this went well and that went well. But we would also hold for one another as you would describe something that hadn't gone well and how you had dealt with it, being able to see the growth that was made and the small victories to be grateful for. Where once again, it wasn't you solve world peace, it was, well, you and your next door neighbor are getting along marvelously.
So what is a gratitude mastermind? How does it work, and how can we set up a gratitude mastermind? It sounds like a really powerful thing to do.
Oh, it's a phenomenal thing to do. It was 5 of us. We would meet weekly. We were focused on, each of us had to start with what we were grateful for.
Mm.
And we would take the time to then sit there and describe what had gone on in that. It could be something as simple as, I finally got the junk drawer cleared out, to I had written the best new novel to ever be produced, to I had a very trying business appointment to get through, but at the end of it, I feel it went very well, and I was able to hold my integrity in what I was presenting, and the meeting ended well. All of those have different levels to be thankful for, and ways to acknowledge how you had achieved and held yourself well. And so we would go through that. And sometimes you don't see the gratitude. Sometimes someone has to say, but don't you see, 3 months ago you couldn't have done that. Do you see how far you have progressed, to help you understand how you were moving? We all think we do things better and worse than we do. And having strangers or distant people or other individuals let us know where we stand truly sometimes helps us get a better sense of where we are. I would say the other is you need to remember this isn't a wallow in misery or a pity party, that you're truly there to hold one another's heart and hope and see what is available and possible for them. And to also, if someone starts to go down, as we all do, to say, thank you, but we need to make sure everyone's heard and to go forward. It was a wonderful experience. And for anyone that wants to do it, I'm sure you will find your best way. For me, it has been an incredible experience.
Wow, what a gratitude mastermind. That is really a very powerful idea because you're combining the frequency of gratitude, which is very high frequency. And one of the things we talk about here at the Natural Healing Show, all disease is slow down vibration. So when you want to heal, you've got to lift your vibration. And then you combine feeling grateful with a group of people, and whenever we're in a group, we're amplifying those beneficial energies. So a gratitude mastermind, that sounds a lot more powerful than, say, a support group for a disease process. And although disease support groups can be very helpful and we can trade ideas about natural healing remedies and what are you doing that's working, and share our experiences and get that support. But it's another level to just talk about the positive in a group. So very, very powerful.
Well, I know it made a world of difference for me as I was going through a lot of questions, and to have people reflect me back made the world, meant the world to me. So I don't know if there's a perfect way to do it, but I think there's always a good time to do it, and that could be now.
Very powerful suggestion. Um, Now, Melinda J. Kelly, how do you think people can get over feeling not good enough? Because if we look outside the world, somebody's always taller, richer, has a bigger house, a bigger car. Everybody seems to have a better situation. So, better education, yada, yada. So how do you think people can get over feeling not good enough?
Well, I agree with you completely. I always was amused. An organization, a big nonprofit I was involved with, no matter what status a member had, they never felt their house was good enough to have anyone in it. And I used to think, oh, good heavens. And I'm very grateful for I'm very grateful for my mother, who my father, I was very young. We'd been at friends' home, and they had a brand new house with all the beds and baths. And like many men, I think he felt he had somehow not provided enough. He turned to my mother and said, would you like a house like that? My mother turned and looked at him and said, oh no, who would clean all those bathrooms? I was a little kid, but I remember this all these years later. And my mother had her home. That door was always open. But she wasn't caught up with cleaning it. She was caught up in having a home to open and have people into. She knew what she needed and wanted. That's a rare gift. But it also came from having had everything, having been raised in a home where her mother was, everything to be done exactly. And it wasn't always about the joy of the home. It was about the presentation. That's a huge lesson to have young. We all would like to be the Hollywood ideal.
Some
And
of us, anyway.
some of us are not born 5'10". Some of us are not born with whatever the current eye color is. Some of us may not have the best dancing skills, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't dance. It means we accept who we are as we are in our own skin. We have been told that we need to be this, that, or the other thing. We are just absolutely fabulous as we are. It doesn't matter. One of my favorite things was I used to do a form of dancing, which is very much about having hips. And all the power and movement was in your hips. And yet, most cultures now, oh, no, no, you shouldn't have hips. I don't know. I think they're pretty wonderful things. You can hold on to them for a conga line. You can tap somebody when you see them. There are a million ways to celebrate with your hips, just as you're dancing. So why would we get rid of that? We need, I feel, to be more connected with our authentic selves and not with this, you need a TV in every room, the newest car, the newest this, the newest that. I would rather have everyone in my house and serve on paper plates than have the best set of china and two people over. It's knowing what feeds your soul. It's knowing what's going to make you happy. It's And you know what? I don't know that I want to be 5'10". I'm very happy the height I am.
So great answer. You know, one of the things that I feel helps people to get over feeling not good enough is
Mhm.
to realize that at a spiritual level that you are already equipped with everything that you need to fulfill your life purpose. So
And
you don't need a fancy car to fulfill your life purpose. Maybe you won't have one. And if you don't need to be 5'10", maybe you don't have one. Or if you don't need to be a genius to fulfill your life purpose, then maybe you won't have a super high IQ. But once you realize that you are a soul having a life experience and that you're already equipped, then you're already good enough and that there's nothing really that needs to be fixed.
and something I meant to say is there are so many professions we do not give the proper credit and recognition to. And by exalting a degree, we sort of forget that, the plumber needs to know a lot about the logistics of a building, the connections, the water flow, the degree of slope. We forget that a contractor puts together the building that's keeping the rain off us. They may not have gone to college, but their knowledge of math, of analysis, of engineering, of a lot of things that we may not know exceed our abilities. And if we all had the same talent, I don't know how much fun that would be. There's something that is just delightful in going over to somebody and saying, how do you make that perfect? I have a friend who makes the world's best jam. I have yet to ever master that. But I'm more than happy to give her my peaches so she can make that jam.
Melinda J. Kelly, how can people get over feeling undeserving? Because a lot of us feel unworthy, like we don't feel like we quite deserve the best in life, or we don't deserve to be healthy, or we don't deserve anything.
I wish there was an easy answer for this. One of the biggest things is we need to stop our negative self-talk. And my friends will tell you that if they make a remark that isn't kind to them, I tell them to put their hands out. And they have all learned now, they start smiling and they'll put their hand out and I'll tap it lightly. And I tell them they're not supposed to say something mean about my friend. And often I wonder if we treated ourselves the way we treated our friends, we might not be better. We wouldn't say the things to our friends we say to ourselves. If we could just be kinder. You phrased it beautifully. We are creatures of God, of the universe, of whatever you want to say has given us our life here. We are perfect as we are. We are these beautiful creatures and beings of life and love. I don't know why somebody was bruised and they then bruised us. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that pain continues to the next. But we at any point can choose that we no longer want to be in pain, and that maybe that person didn't know they hurt us, or they just did what they were taught and they didn't know any better. I think it's Maya Angelou who said, you know, you that's what you knew then. When you know better, you do better. We are so blessed that we have so much more than many of our other generations didn't. And you were about to say something.
You've been listening to Melinda J. Kelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. You can find out more about Melinda at her website, melindajkelly.com. This is Catherine Carrigan, host of the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn how to be healthy naturally. And remember, when you give yourself permission to come up with your own definition of success, more than likely you're going to find the happiness that will make you healthy naturally. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.